going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC reality checking. You don't see my pretty sexy face, so you know I'm not alone. I'm not going to lie. This is take two. We got Jake DeMarco on the line. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, we're back yet again. What's going on, my friend?
I think Skype was as excited as we are to talk about SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think that's the case. So.
I started talking about SummerSlam, and I literally got attacked by my headphones, so that's got to be a sign. What I was about to say when that happened was something that you and I have said offline, that SummerSlam and TakeOver are kind of mirror images of each other, whereas the shows themselves are going to be good, I think, anyway. The shows to get us there have been shit. Hey!
Yeah, so...
I mean, I try as hard as I can to talk about the NXT stuff, and we're going to talk about that in a separate episode, but those two pre-recorded episodes did not help anything.
Yeah, no kidding, but hey, what are you going to do, so...
But hey, at least that's a rarity. At least it's not Raw every week, which we're ignoring to record this. So, for time purposes, this is going to drop sometime Friday morning. Just know, guys, that we recorded this on Monday, so I haven't seen most of Raw, and obviously we haven't seen SmackDown yet, so anything that was added, changed, stipulations that have been added or changed or whatever, we're not going to know about, so suck it up. General thought, okay, not in terms of the build, but in terms of the actual show itself, general thoughts on SummerSlam.
I mean, usually SummerSlam, they try and make it the biggest party of the summer. It's fun.
It's WrestleMania this year, realistically.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm distracted right now. Jonathan Davis is fighting COVID badly. That's why they postponed the concert.
Well, shit.
So that's what happened.
Well, that bit of unfortunate news, because you were supposed to go and see them this weekend, you were saying.
Yeah, Friday, and then 1 hour ago, Korn's Jonathan Davis tests positive for COVID, hospitalized. 5 more shows postponed. Korn cancels Syracuse. Darian Lakes, singer, has COVID. That also is being reportedly the reason why Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair may not happen, which is what I'm bringing it back to as well. So
I love that you went for the transition that I was about to go for there.
That's right, buddy.
So there's not much to say. You guys know out there I'm not a fan of this match. I'm not wishing anything bad on anybody. I don't hope that they're legitimately sick or anything like that. It might be a little bit of karma, but we don't need to go there. But it's a WrestleMania rematch. And they haven't really changed anything between these two in the past however many months, except for the fact that it's not the first time they've fought, and it's not the result of a Royal Rumble win. It's less.
Absolutely.
I don't just want to come up here and do my typical shtick, because people know what I think about Sasha Banks and Sasha Banks version 2.0. But somebody else on that SmackDown roster has to get a shot at something. So instead of talking about the match, because it might not happen, I want to get your take on what we saw on Friday and the new little crew that Sasha Banks has.
Yeah, I'm not quite, thrilled with everything they're going with here. It's unfortunate, and I know that they're trying to develop more, but I really just didn't care for it.
My thing is, one of my sort of sub-arguments against this, not only the fact that, I'm sorry, you can dress it up however you want, Sasha Banks is as much a part-timer as Goldberg, John Cena, and Edge at this point.
At this point, yeah, because every time she arrives, she leaves yet again.
Well, she skipped out on a lot of COVID, came back in time to get the belt off of Bayley, who held that title and held up that division through most of COVID, rode on the coattails of Bianca Belair's Royal Rumble win in order to get to WrestleMania, where there was actually a crowd, fucked off again because they were going back to the Thunderdome, returned just in time for there to be a crowd again and another Big Four pay-per-view. That's obnoxious. Anybody else, and I hate to keep going back to this anybody else would be getting ripped up and down as a part-time piece of shit. And
no doubt about it.
That's bothersome.
And say that she's undeserving, or it's just I'm trying to be not even careful with what I say. I'm trying to word it the right way in the sense of I can't always get the thoughts out, but that whole I stand this one, I can't, that's what I can't stand. That's the thing that irks me, because it's not even they actually do like the wrestling, or the fans that stand behind her. Typically, it's some type of women's rights / fashion movement. Like it's less to do with wrestling and more like, oh, she's a woman.
The more we get stuff like this, the more I'm gonna say we do need to do that identity politics in wrestling podcast at some point.
At some point, yeah.
Because if we don't, we're gonna stick it into every video. But since we might not even be getting the match, and since I'm trying to be a little bit nice about this, because genuinely I don't want anybody to be sick or injured or die, because I'm not that much of an asshole, despite what the internet might think.
Just because you don't like a wrestler doesn't mean you want to think that.
Exactly.
People are crazy.
I wouldn't wish a match on Sasha Banks with anybody else because I don't want them to lose their career. Anyways, but I did want to talk about the new little crew that they've given her, because my problem has been that she and Bianca Belair, Sasha by leaving and constantly being like, oh my god, the amazing comeback person, and Bianca Belair getting handed the Rumble, handed WrestleMania, and handed the belt, they've held that division hostage. Like, everybody else has been steamrolled, right? That's been my problem for the past little while. And now you're going to take somebody, okay, whatever you think about Zelina Vega, and all due disrespect to JD from New York, whatever you think of Zelina Vega, she just came back after a significant absence, and people were genuinely excited to see her back. And Carmella, consistently underrated, former multiple-time champion, are now just Sasha Banks' stooges.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to draw an underline on how much these two are that division, it's bothersome.
But they were just feuding, so it doesn't even make sense. So she's got Carmella,
yep,
and then Zelina Vega.
Yep.
Okay, but having them at all, like I said, that's why I don't like it, because it doesn't make sense. None of it adds up. None of it sounds right, and that's really what it comes down to. It just isn't logical.
And it makes me worried about the other two women that we haven't seen on the show at all in the past couple of weeks.
I get they don't like, Bianca, right? Like, that's their commonality. That's their common goal. Okay.
We don't like you, and we're not going to get a shot at your title, so we're going to help somebody else get the title that we want.
That we then won't get a shot at.
But see, I'm worried about, like, the only other two people, like, conspicuous by their absence are...
Shotzi and Tegan?
No, Shotzi and Tegan are doing the tag team thing. I'm entirely okay with that. I'd rather that than have them messed up in this nonsense.
Well, I worry because I could see it turning into a trios thing.
And see, I think for the trios thing, that's when they're going to throw in Liv Morgan and Toni Storm.
Oh, that's a good thing. I could see not good in the sense of, but like a good.
But don't make them be lackeys for Bianca Belair, because Bianca Belair.
I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm saying what you're thinking is a logical idea.
Have you seen the movie Multiplicity with
Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton. Okay, so Sasha Banks, from the day she debuted in NXT, and yes, she was less obnoxious back then. I'll give her that. But she's basically a knockoff of Mean Girls, right? And Bianca Belair is a knockoff of Sasha Banks. Slight variations, but pretty much a knockoff. So, in the immortal words of Multiplicity, we made a copy of a copy, and it's not quite as sharp as the original.
That's not nice to say.
Truth hurts. Facts don't care about your feelings. And the thing is, there's two things that either one of these women could do that would make me cheer them for one night. Bianca Belair, a couple weeks ago, the one thing I'll give her credit for is in one of the promos where she actually called Sasha Banks out on being a part-timer. Love that.
Yeah.
If Sasha Banks continuously complaining about the hair whip, which is one of the dumbest things in the WWE right now, and that's saying something, ends up cutting that off, I'll cheer Sasha Banks for a night. One night.
They're marketing that hair. They're not getting rid of it.
That shouldn't be a gimmick. Like, there was a weasel in Suicide Squad. We don't need a rat on SmackDown.
I don't understand how it's allowed as a weapon, though, at times.
It's true. And people are like, oh, it's the hair. It's basically, if you're not going to consider it part of her body, then it's part of her attire. I'm like, cool. That works as a comparison. But if one of the wrestlers takes off their boot and hits somebody with it, it's now a weapon.
Or their belt.
Or their belt, or anything, really. Like, all the chains on, like, somebody like Rhea Ripley, who's actually awesome. Like, all the chains on her gear, right? Because her gear is basically made to look like trip pants. Mm-hmm. If she ripped one of the chains off of, like, her gear and choked somebody with it, it would then be a weapon. I don't get it.
Yeah, if she took the chain off and wrapped it around her fingers, it'd be a brass knuckle attempt.
Oh, as much as I hate to say it, and as much as I don't want any more call-ups from NXT, I kind of want Io Shirai to show up during this match and bitch slap both of them if the match happens.
Yeah.
Have her bitch slap.
That hair whip at Mania. I mean, you heard the sound. I guess that's why everybody liked it.
Okay, that gets into that. Okay, but if that's the draw, that gets into other really weird personal stuff that I don't.
What I'm saying, it's like, can I braid my pubic hair and use that as a weapon?
Call it the cheese grater.
It's not that coarse.
Here we go. Here's some fantasy booking though. Even though the last time we talked, I think I went through my theory about how Io Shirai is an actual racist. Have Io Shirai crash SummerSlam and smack the taste out of both of their mouths and bring the SmackDown title, not to transfer the title to a different show, but just like as a trophy for one night, have her bring that title back to NXT as sort of a trophy, like I went to the big time and came back with this, like treat it like her scalp type thing. And then the following, if they want to move her up to the main roster, then the following month, whatever the pay-per-view is, have her take out Bianca Belair gladly, and that'll be her introduction to SmackDown. I would be down for something like that, because that's a call-up done properly.
Bianca is, like you said, another type of Sasha, so it's just boring.
And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if after SummerSlam, Sasha Banks fucks off again. Either she's going to win if this match happens, if they're both healthy, which we all want them to be, okay, whatever. If the match happens, one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to put the belt back on Sasha for a while, or she's going to go on a break until the Rumble.
Yeah.
Like, one of those two things is going to happen. Anyways, we've spent way too much time on a match that I don't care about, and now they're wasting Zelina Vega and Carmella.
So, basically, I think Bianca retains if we're going through.
I think so, too. I don't really care, but it's kind of funny that it's even happening. Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal.
I'm into this match. I like what they did with, Hanky and Panky to a certain extent. They just used them as whipping boys, but it worked to keep you from seeing Jinder and Drew really facing each other this whole time. So they kept that fresh. So I appreciate that.
But Drew McIntyre mirrors Bayley in this scenario. Bayley held on to her title for most of the COVID era and held up her end of the bargain, so to speak, and didn't even get a spot at WrestleMania at all. Drew did the same thing with the WWE title, and now he's doing this at SummerSlam. Like, the lack of recognition for the big tent poles of the Thunderdome era is becoming a pattern, and it's becoming a disturbing
See, they
one.
view this story as a main focus on Raw, and it's like a big thing, so the Sword, Angela, all of it. I think that Drew will win, but I'm also worried that they're going to try and continue this feud on longer, and Jinder gets interference and somehow still wins, and then, I mean, think about SummerSlam. That's always usually a heavy heel screw-over pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I mean, we're not watching Raw right now, but one of the matches that's happening tonight on Raw is, and hope by the time you guys are all listening to this, you'll know what the result is. But there's a handicap match on Raw tonight, and the stipulation is if Shanky and Veer win, they get to help Jinder Mahal in this match. And if Drew McIntyre wins, they're banned from the match, and he gets to bring his sword to the ring. So, potentially, I hate to give credit to somebody like Michael Sidgwick, but he mentioned this on the What Culture podcast. So, you're fighting for the ability to bring a deadly weapon to the ring, which is cool,
just
except
to spoil
it's...
you, he did win tonight. He
beat
Veer and Shanky in less than 4 minutes with a Claymore kick and pinned him down.
So there we go. So he gets to bring his sword to the ring. They're not going to do a decapitation at SummerSlam. So he's going to use the flat end of the sword like a chair shot, and it's going to look lame as shit.
I hope so, or they bat, he uses, like, they have a sword fight with like a kendo stick, and it cuts the kendo stick in half. I could see him doing comedy like that. Or...
See, the thing is, like, Drew McIntyre is a naturally funny guy, but to, like, put him in quote-unquote comedy spots like that doesn't...
Yeah, no, he should just be comedic at times in a serious role.
Yeah.
As where Miz is straight-up comedy, and they're making Damian Priest be a comedian with them. It's not...
Yeah, but Miz is a folly comedian, though. Like, he's the guy that comes out and says the most ridiculous shit, and you wait for somebody to come and kick his ass.
I'm saying, but McIntyre doesn't need to be in that level, so...
No.
But
and it feels like that's what this is. And
I just hope this is a one-and-done pay-per-view feud, honest to God, because That's my big worry, that they're going to have Jinder win somehow just to go ahead and keep it going. But really, I want to see Drew win. I think Drew's going to win.
I want to see Drew McIntyre win this match and have it almost be considered an afterthought immediately. And I know I'm not, like, usually I'm not a fan of, like, using a pay-per-view to build another pay-per-view, but I want somebody that's way more legitimate to attack Drew after the match and have a good, proper feud with them. Like, they've already fucked him up, but, like, Drew McIntyre stands tall with all the fire going off and holding his sword in the air, gets attacked by Karrion Kross.
Yeah,
that could be a small step in reviving Karrion Kross.
Well, I guess they have plans with him going forward. They have something that they're trying to do where they bring in Scarlett, and that makes him the real monster that they've been trying to unleash.
But that's literally what they did with Andrade in NXT. Remember when they brought in Andrade and he, like, didn't care and he was the party guy, and then Zelina Vega showed up and, like, snapped him into shape?
Yep, and then he won the NXT title. And
But you can't tell that story because enough people watch it. Like, for all the people that say nobody watches NXT, the amount of people online that have looked at what they've done with them on Raw and said, where's this, wouldn't be saying that if you didn't have a good chunk of the audience watching NXT. Maybe not on the night, maybe it's not affected or not reflected in the ratings, but enough people are pissed off that he's not what he was in NXT that you can't deny people are watching NXT.
Yeah, exactly.
His debut was on Main Event in the Thunderdome against Shelton Benjamin, and they went 50-50 until he eked out a win.
Yeah, I know. It just... next up...
He's not even on the card. Him and Keith Lee.
I know.
I'm
thankful they're not, though, in a sense, because if they were, it would have just been BS.
You know what, though, honestly? Like, as much as, like, I don't like 50-50 booking, as an excuse to give two guys that I really like a big stage, I would have been okay if they had said, okay, Keith Lee and Karrion Kross, one's returning, one's debuting, they've gone 50-50 with each other, that we're going to let them do it one more time at the pay-per-view. It's not the best in the world, but it's two guys that I think...
It could have been good if they built it up, but they didn't. They didn't do anything with it, so that's why I said I wouldn't want to see him just in some shit match, so I prefer nothing over that.
One person that does have a little bit of build, and is relatively new to the main roster, sort of 6 months ago or whatever, I'm unusually looking forward to this match, actually, because Sheamus is actually...
I am as well, yeah. I was saying
Sheamus is pretty good recently. I'm very up and down with Sheamus. Sheamus can be boring as shit to me sometimes, and then you put him with the right person, and he turns it on, so to speak. I think Sheamus and Damian Priest are going to be a really good match. Sheamus is in a really, really high form right now, in my opinion. On a shitty show, don't get me wrong. But Damian Priest is somebody that they've been relatively okay with and treated as a relative big deal.
Once he did well with Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
My guess is Priest is going to win the title.
Of course, yeah, and I'm totally down with that. Because did he... Oh, this is how bad my memory is. Did he ever get his hands on the North American title in NXT?
Yes. He had it, and then Johnny Gargano took it from him at the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view.
That's right, because that was that three-way story with him and Leon Ruff and
Yep.
Okay. Not Leo Rush.
Not Leo Rush.
I don't know who could possibly make that mistake.
Who just had his retirement match, I guess.
Yeah. Now is that because of injury, or is that just because he's doing other shit?
He said that he injured his shoulder, but then he was able to wrestle the other matches.
So he sort of had like a mini farewell tour type thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate. And again, it's like the Sasha thing. Like
I'm not really sure.
I may not agree with the guy, but that's still unfortunate. But
because I always liked him in the ring, and I know a lot of people aren't fans, but I do enjoy his work.
I mean, yeah, like prior to the stuff like on social media and the couple of other things that he kicked off about, like you were with me when we were doing stuff about him like being the guy that revitalized that Cruiserweight Championship. Like, I had high praise for the guy at that high point when it was him and Angel Garza and Jordan Devlin and who was the other one from the UK? I think it was Travis Banks, the only Banks in WWE that matters. But I had really high praise for the guy, and I still have high praise for what he can do in the ring.
Yeah.
Like when he showed up in AEW, I'm like, cool, that's a good get for them, and then he got injured.
Yeah, I was happy, and then that was it. So.
But I mean, AEW's scooping up enough ex-WWE talent at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. But I was excited to
It's almost like somebody would have done a whole podcast on that. That's like a couple episodes from this one.
Wonder who that is. And speaking of excitement, I mean, I am still somewhat excited for Edge versus Seth Rollins.
Yeah. I just wanted to say before we got off the U.S. Championship match, I think Sheamus is a good guy to put Damian Priest over, because Damian Priest, while he's a little bit more gimmick than wrestler, he is still a guy that can brawl. Also,
yeah, they'll beat the hell out of each other.
Also, he was one of the ones that they haven't really taken an entrance away from, so I'm pretty sure in the Allegiant Stadium that entrance is going to look fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be some pretty intricate pyro for that, because they've decided that he's a guy they can do something with.
Oh, yeah, especially with the Phoenix and him shooting the arrows and
all kinds of
Sheamus
stuff.
having his, white light. All of it's going to be good.
I think that's going to be... Edge versus Seth Rollins is a very interesting thing, and it's where SmackDown wins over Raw.
And my big question to you here is,
all right,
who needs this win more? Because I think Seth Rollins is going to win here. But I want Edge to win because, obviously... Yeah.
See, I don't want to say that because
Edge didn't
I don't
come
think...
back to put everyone over, did he? I mean, he lost to Orton, then he lost at Mania, then he lost after... He won the Rumble, but, he loses at Mania in pretty decisive fashion. Him and Daniel Bryan scoop him, stack him, pin him, whatever.
Yeah.
Bend him over and finish him. And lo and behold, here we are. He loses again to Roman, and then now we have this match. So
see, that's where I think you're the way you started it. Like, I think, with all due respect, I think you started the question wrong. Like, who needs it more? I'm never going to see that Edge needs a match, because Edge, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but Edge is Teflon. Like, a loss doesn't hurt Edge at all anymore. But that
you don't think so? Because I feel like
to
my
your
excitement
point
for him already is waning a bit, because I'm like, he's lost quite a bit, and if they're just having him I mean, when you look at Edge compared to Christian right now, Christian's an undefeated Impact champion over on AEW, just beat Kenny Omega.
Yeah, but remember what I told you. Christian goes to certain companies to win other companies' belts.
Yes.
It's a history lesson.
And I didn't realize, with my Impact history, that Christian was never the Impact champion. He was just the NWA champion there.
Well, he was the NWA champion before it became the TNA title.
Yes,
like the same
exactly.
as the same as the NWA became the WCW title. And that's where
Yes.
my joke comes from. For anybody listening that doesn't know what I'm talking about, Christian, when he was in TNA, won the NWA title, because that's what they had at the time. Christian in WWE won the ECW title. He won the world title as well, but that's basically the WCW title. And now he's gone to AEW, and he's doing great in AEW, don't get me wrong, but he's gone to AEW to pick up the Impact Championship. But I like him being the Impact Champion because it harkens back to his legitimate history in TNA. So it all works for me,
he never had that Impact TNA title, so now he's got both those belts.
And for me, who's not, I've always said Kenny Omega, great wrestler. I don't get the God level status. I still believe that. I still think he's a great wrestler. I don't get the God level status. But the Christian Omega match on Rampage, for what it needed to be, it wasn't a pay-per-view main event match, but for what it needed to be on that show, it was pretty much pitch perfect.
Yeah.
And that's coming from me, the super biased NXT guy.
And back to your Teflon comment, I can see what you're getting at. Like, I mean,
but you don't abuse that either.
Yeah, I think that's the point where it's getting now. It's getting abused.
See, the thing is, though, I have to believe, even if they don't...
He has to lose in, a decisive fashion, where it has to be, like, a clean victory, but I hope it looks effective, like, oh, my God, it was a second away from Edge kicking out, but it was just one curb stomp too much kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because this would be a huge victory for him. Hall of Famer, Edge, big resume, and it goes back. They're bringing up the story from all the way back.
Well, see, this is the other thing too. It's like who's going to get hurt by the loss, but who has more to gain from the win. I don't think Edge gets nearly as much from beating Seth Rollins as Seth Rollins gets from beating Edge too. Because I have to believe, even though it hasn't been really said, I have to believe whoever wins this match is getting a shot at Roman Reigns. So for a lot of reasons, because Edge and Roman Reigns have been in each other's sphere a lot.
Yes,
but also
seen it multiple times. So
the whole story with Edge is that Seth Rollins blames Edge for not getting a title shot, and Cena was dropping a lot of Shield references in his promo with Reigns on SmackDown, which I'm going to say was really fucking good. They don't do that, like, WWE doesn't do the long-term storytelling thing, but they wouldn't have dropped so many Shield references in the same night, because Cena dropped the Shield reference, and then, what's it called, Seth Rollins' video package later on in the night also dropped the Shield reference.
Yes.
So they want us to remember the Shield.
And then Lily winked.
That's true. But, good God, can we not? Can we not?
Next up, we got the Mysterios trying to get their titles back from the Usos. Like, this is one of those Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn matches. It feels like Usos and New Day again as well. Like, for some reason, Usos always get the same matches for 6 months, but they're always good.
Yeah,
you know, they're always, like,
the Mysterios are wearing thin for me. Honestly.
Yeah, I want to see Dominic go on as a singles and let Ray either manage him or take a back seat and disappear. I think it'd be better if Ray disappeared and just let Dominic go on.
I think, like, you throw Dominic, because, it doesn't work right now because they just put the IC title on Shinsuke Nakamura, which was also pretty good on SmackDown, I'm not going to lie. But, like, throw Dominic in the mix of, like, whoever is trying to get a shot at Nakamura. Don't put him in the title shot, necessarily, but, like, throw him in there with Apollo and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and a couple of other people. Like, you know when there's always, like, a scramble just under the title? Like, sort of slip him in. Don't put him in that position yet, but introduce him.
You want an ideal story for me in 60 seconds or less. I would have months ago, remember, it wasn't the time to beat Roman, but let's say it was when they had him attacking in that whole family angle. I would have gone ahead and had them, I would have made Dominic, take the IC title from Apollo Crews instead.
Yeah, okay, I get that.
You have, Ray win the title from Roman there. And then you can actually even have Dominic turn on his father for the main title.
Everybody wants to see that. Everybody wants to see the Batista Randy Orton electric chair drop spot on his dad.
Yes.
But see, here's the thing as well, right?
Everybody wants to see them have a match eventually, so that could have been your SummerSlam match. IC versus WWE, not unification, but you do another 2-champ match like they had back years ago with Seth Rollins.
And then you just vacate the smaller title.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too, right? Before they bought,
defended it at Night of Champions twice. Remember?
That's true.
So whoever wins can defend it twice.
Before they brought Jimmy back, and Jay was doing all the stuff that he was doing as a singles guy, because they gave him at WrestleMania, they gave him the Andre Battle Royal thing on the WrestleMania SmackDown show, right?
Yeah, because he wasn't able to do it with his brother. They didn't want to give him a singles title yet because they needed him here with Roman, but they wanted to give him something to say thank you for doing what you did.
Absolutely, but then they gave him that thank you on SmackDown in front of nobody, so that thank you was kind of bullshit. So before we knew that Jimmy was coming back, I would have said have Roman as the Universal Champion and definitely put the IC strap on Jay. Like, I think he was overdue for it.
Spoken about plan, as I had mentioned, but yeah, they knew that he was going to return. So
because remember before it became a triple threat match, Daniel Bryan had been really outspoken about wanting to work with Jay. Now, can you imagine? And it would have definitely gotten on the card and not been on the kickoff. Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania.
And we've seen what their matches look like already when they fought. It was great.
Yeah, and Daniel Bryan would have put him over because Daniel Bryan was in like put everybody over mode at that point. So
especially because he was walking out of the company.
Well, not even that. Like, I think even before he knew he was on his way out the door, he was still helping out a lot. Like, he was helping the Chad Gables and the Otises and the Cesaros and everybody. Now, imagine Daniel Bryan, former world champion, former WrestleMania main eventer, putting over your brand new Intercontinental Champion Jey Uso at WrestleMania. Tell me that's a little bit better than winning a Battle Royal in front of a bunch of Zoom screens.
Oh, absolutely.
At this point, I love the Usos. Like, the Usos are as good now as they've ever been. I want better. Like, there aren't better opponents for them because we're a little short on tag teams, but I really am like running empty on give a shit for the Mysterio family.
No,
thing.
I get that. That's why I'm saying Usos retain here, because I'll kind of skip ahead, but we'll go to the Roman match. That's so directly related to this, unfortunately, with my storyline. I do think that they're going to have Roman retain as well.
Yeah.
Simply because, I mean, really, lo and behold, unless, like you said, unless Ric Flair comes out on AEW and they want to go ahead and punish him, and they're really mad, so they make Cena go ahead, and because they're that petty, they have Cena win the title.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if the ending scene of SummerSlam is like if they make Roman and Cena the last match, which they should, because Lashley Goldberg is not a main event. If Roman versus John Cena is the main event, John Cena wins. John Cena gets his 17th world title reign. Fuck you, Ric Flair. How dare you leave us? And then gets cashed in on by Big E. Big E wins the championship off of John Cena in that 70-whatever-seater stadium at SummerSlam. That'd be pretty fucking big. I would be okay. I would be 100% okay with that. Because, John Cena would sort of give him, like, the respectful tip of the cap and raise his hand.
And then you have Roman win it back in Madison Square Garden.
Have Roman beat Big E faster than Lesnar beat Kofi Kingston. Ding, ding, ding.
You really want to rile everybody up, huh?
No. Ding, ding, ding. Superman punch. Spear. Pin.
Oh, no, just the Superman punch.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Really set it in.
Oh, no. No, grabs Big E. Big E goes... Because, Big E has that spear that he does that's, like, sort of through the ropes. But yeah. Roman just sort of blocks it, lifts him up, and gives the big ending to Big E to get his title back. I'm an asshole. I don't even dislike Big E. I'm just trying to wind up the crowd at this point. Roman Reigns, John Cena is 10 times the match it was, 4 years ago? Because see them, and I know it's not for everybody. Like the 20-minute opening promo between the two like established superstars and all that breaking the kayfabe stuff. I get that that's not for everybody, but the buzz off of that promo that they did on SmackDown, I wish they had saved that for the go home. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Because WWE has a habit of doing like the biggest blow off before the show, like the week before the show, and then they just have to drag it out one more week. But I mean, Roman Reigns, I got to give the guy credit. He's so much more comfortable being in that same exact seat that he was squirming in 4 years ago. It's applaudable. Is all I got to say.
Last time he was there, he was getting torn apart, and then the Miz came out and tore both of them apart the next time. So
yeah. It's a promo, kid. If you're going to be the main guy, you got to get used to it.
Yeah, so good. But obviously Roman retains here. There's no way he doesn't retain. Cena will get that 17-time world championship at some point, but they're pushing everything for Roman, and Roman's going to retain, which also makes me think the Usos retain because they're going to have the bloodline hold the titles.
Yeah. Supposedly, the main event of the Go Home SmackDown is going to be the 3-on-3 Cena and the Mysterios versus the Bloodline, which is going to be a schmoz if it happens, but I don't know. Anything with John Cena, like John Cena coming back to wrestling right now when I've just seen Suicide Squad and Fast 9 back to back.
Yeah, it makes him feel like a huge deal. Like
I'm getting like my triple dose of John Cena. 2 movies.
It's a lot all at once. But then again, he hasn't been around for so long, and it kind of works. It's like
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Cena injection. No, but what I'm saying is you're absolutely right. That's a great point because they could not have had it work out better for their SummerSlam with Fast 9 being a well-received movie, even though it was a bit ridiculous. And then
have you seen it?
Not all of it. I saw the first half. So
it is.
Eventually, I'll finish it, but it's ridiculous. So
I'll
give it that much.
It is so. If So Bad It's Good was an art form, it would be Fast 9.
Yeah, this is the Mona Lisa of that. Yeah, I get your point.
But to see like him doing Peacemaker and then him doing Jacob Toretto, him attempting to be 2 really, really bad guys and then coming out super smiley John Cena on Friday on SmackDown.
Yeah.
It's a riot, I'm not going to lie.
Oh,
Speaking
no
of riot, let's hope Ruby Riot shows up in AEW soon. When did you think I would say that?
I know, but it is happening, I guess, soon. So, speaking of happening,
I've heard that she's going to be the Joker in the women's...
In the wild card? Yeah. I've heard that as well. So that would be
I'd be down for that, honestly.
Let's see, though. The match I'm not looking forward to is Bobby Lashley taking on Goldberg.
Are we skipping the women's match?
Short. What's that?
Are we skipping the women's match, or are we leaving that till the main event?
I was just that was next on.
Oh, okay. All right. No, we can do it. Lashley Goldberg is just going to be two big guys running into each other with MVP shouting from the back. Unless, and I don't want to say this the same way I said about like the Drew match earlier in the night, but this is a bigger platform. Either, Lashley's going to beat him or Lashley's going to beat him. If Goldberg takes a title off of another like pretty well doing champion, like we saw what it did to Bray Wyatt, right?
People weren't happy with
Yeah.
Kevin Owens to begin with.
People weren't happy with Kevin Owens. People weren't happy with what happened to Bray Wyatt, even though it was in like Saudi Arabia, but that almost made it worse. Bobby Lashley has had some ups and downs, but he's been pretty good. The pairing of him and MVP is pretty damn good.
It's money, yeah. I prefer him and Leo Rush, but
yeah, well. Yeah, but like Leo Rush is still in. Oh, he just got it released from it. Oh no, wait, that's Leon Ruff. Moving on.
oh,
Gotta tag him before you release him. Anyway, I'm a terrible person that's going to hell. But yeah, like even if I wasn't a super fan of Lashley, if just put your logical wrestling hat on, like Goldberg beating Lashley doesn't make sense.
yeah, it's really
Can you imagine if Goldberg and Cena walk out with the titles on Saturday?
Yeah.
Here's what it's going to be. They haven't been able to fulfill their obligations to Saudi Arabia in 2 years. Put the belt on Cena, put the belt on Goldberg. Cena versus Goldberg, champion versus champion at Crown Jewel. I really want the world to burn. I'm really tired and I really don't give a shit. Speaking of I really don't give a shit, and I should because it's three people I like. Nikki Cross, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, I know. It's
I really want to keep giving Nikki Cross the benefit of the doubt because I am so happy for a wrestler that actually got something past Vince's desk, but it's not hitting.
This will come out in the future, so Raw spoiler, you just saw Rhea Ripley pin Nikki clean.
I did see that, yeah.
Okay,
that happened before we came on.
Why? Why?
I'm pretty damn sure.
I don't understand. I mean,
well, because the idea is going to be that Nikki Cross can't possibly beat the odds.
Either woman.
Because Rhea Ripley just beat her, and Charlotte Flair is most known for going to WrestleMania last year and beating Rhea Ripley. So if one domino beats the next domino beats the next domino, so you're
But here's my question. Then why have her ever beat either one of them unless it was in the title match? Like, just besides the Money in the Bank cash-in, she shouldn't have beaten either one of them ever then. But she's already beaten Charlotte.
Oh, it's true.
So
it's absolutely true.
That's why.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm giving you the WWE answer.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it just doesn't make sense. I get where you're coming from, though, but
I at the same time, like as I said, people think I'm crazy. I will back Nikki ASH because, as I said, how hard is it to get your own idea past Vince's desk? I do think it sucks that it took this much for a character that I already liked back when she was the other character to get a sniff at a title on the main roster. Because she was one of the ones, along with the Alexa Blisses and the Ruby Riots and the Iconics and all that never got a world title in NXT, which I don't slate NXT for very much, but these are things that fall through the cracks. So,
yeah, and unfortunately that's what happens far too often. And see, I'm kind of perplexed here because I don't know where they're going with this. Originally, this was supposed to lead into the debut of or re-emergence of Becky.
If that's what it is,
SummerSlam.
If that's what it is, you got to give it to Ripley, because I don't see Lynch versus Nikki Cross as much of a match.
Well, what they were gonna, I guess, do at one point was discussed. Plans change more than people change underwear, as we know. But the last thing that I was reading / talking with people with was that they were going to have Nikki retain here because Charlotte would be about to win, Becky would return. That would cause a distraction for Charlotte. They'd start to attack each other, and then she would pin and already down. Nikki would then turn around and pin and already down Rhea Ripley. So Nikki retains, and then because Charlotte hits, Nikki with a chair, something like that. She would have already been down, but I'm not crazy about that either. But so you're going to
If we're
see
using
Charlotte
this match
and Becky feud again? Does anybody want to see that?
Not really. And I don't think you put this version of Nikki Cross against Becky Lynch either. It'll get eaten alive.
Well, it wasn't. It was then Rhea goes on, she wins the title next pay-per-view, and it leads to Becky and Rhea then.
But I think if this match is to introduce Becky, this is a weird way for me to phrase it. If the purpose of this match is to not introduce but reintroduce Becky Lynch, I think Rhea Ripley has to win. I think you have to have the stare down, like the respectful, like, hey, you just won, I just saw what you just did, I'm going to show you the mutual respect, raise your hand, whatever, but also I'm next. Like,
yeah.
This is where Becky Lynch needs to be the Goldberg. Like, come down, like, Rhea Ripley's celebrating, like, her entrance music is awesome celebratory music. Like,
yeah.
Charlotte Flair's music isn't really celebration music. Nikki Ash's superhero bullshit isn't really celebration music, but Rhea Ripley's music it's high energy, like it's celebration. It goes with the pyro as the pyro goes off type thing, right?
Yeah, it all fits.
But
together,
now
so.
when that music cuts and then it goes into Becky Lynch's very recognizable thing, and she makes a run down to the ring, and it looks like she's going to attack Rhea, but instead of attacking her, she like holds up the hand that has Rhea Ripley's belt in it, congratulates her, and then you have that. You know when people do the handshake, then it's all respectful, but then they pull it in real close?
Yeah.
Like, have that kind of thing. It's like, hey, congratulations, you're a badass, you just beat 2 awesome women on this big stage, I'm next. Now, you don't have to say all of those words, but it can be implied. And Becky Lynch, of a bunch of other things that she's also good at, she's really good at the body language thing, like tell a story with a glance type thing.
Yeah.
So if this match is being used to bring back Becky Lynch, then Rhea Ripley needs to leave with the belt on Saturday. That's my take.
I agree with you there.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to fuck it up.
I don't think Becky's going to show up, and I also, as much as I want to say she is, I think because there's been no talk about her showing up, that means she'll show up. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
It's always when it's over-dramatized that she doesn't, and now it's kind of not out of people's foresight. They're not really talking about it as much as they were previously. So
and I do think, though, like,
happening, but
I don't think this match in any way, shape, or form main events. But I think if it was to do the Becky Lynch thing, I think they know that Becky Lynch is a big enough deal that if this was used to introduce Becky Lynch, then I hesitate to say this. I think they'd throw it up in the main event slot because I think they think
they know
Becky Lynch is a big bullet in their gun. Let's be real. Like, they brought back all the big bullets.
But maybe they know if they put it on the main event, then people will know Becky's returning.
That's true, but they can just play it up as, hey, these women really earned their spot, and we can all just shrug and assume that it's WWE going for some PC clout, and then think, oh, no, they actually did it for a reason after the fact. Because, I mean, like, WrestleMania Night 1. Enough said.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But
and then the real main event was
Night 2. I kept hearing that Flair wins the title again. She wasn't, the only reason she lost it was the Money in the Bank, so she can get another victory here to continually rack up those title victories.
So what we need to do then is sometime before Saturday, we need to get Sasha Banks to cough on her.
Yes. Scissor, cough, something.
Oh, ham sandwich to the face.
Anything.
Anyways, so in amongst all the rubble, there is some stuff to look forward to. Maybe not necessarily some results that we will like.
I think you were going to have to add one match on there, and I think we're probably going to get it announced tonight. I think it's going to be Randy and Riddle versus AJ and Omos for the tag titles.
And literally a week ago, I would have been like, okay, that'll be fun. Now I don't care.
Yeah. Why they had Randy return and not be all about Riddle is just, it doesn't make sense.
See, here's the thing, though. Look at that match. Look at the star power in that match, right? Take Omos out of the equation, and that would be a believable triple threat for the WWE Championship.
Yeah.
Why am I excited about a strawberry fruit roll-up tag team title shot between all these guys?
Because they're not making the tag team division interesting with this because they're not tag teams.
They haven't established. Okay, I mean, I like Riddle because
They're literally not tag teams.
Yeah, I like Riddle because I liked him in NXT. I don't believe that Randy Orton wants to be in a team with Riddle. I don't believe that Randy Orton gives a shit about the tag team titles. I don't give a shit about Omos by himself. I am kind of I know he doesn't want to be the main world champion. I'm kind of defeated by the idea of sticking AJ Styles in a tag team. Like, there's several spokes on the wheel that make this not work for me. Like, it's 4 guys that are going to go and do something cool on the night, but as soon as the match is over, I don't care what the result is. I don't care how the match went. I don't care where the story goes from here. You've taken the belts from one team that's not really a team to another team that's not really a team. At least on SmackDown and NXT, you've got those tag team titles on tag teams that are actual tag teams.
Yeah, exactly.
And SmackDown is the one that is announced on SummerSlam already that I don't care about because I don't care about the challengers. So we're in rough shape.
Yeah.
I would say, for one night only, have the Usos take out the Mysterios before their match, come out doing an open challenge because nobody else can face them. And you know what? Give some shine to MSK. Like, have a impromptu, like, champions versus champions match just as something different.
Yeah, right. That would mean
like,
have to use
don't make it their
NXT.
call up because MSK is exactly the type of act that the main event the main roster will ruin. But on the night, like, just because we didn't know it was going to happen,
Like
just
the Street Profits, no.
What's that?
I laugh every time I see Ric Flair's Car Shield commercial on Raw.
Oh no! Oh no!
Just makes me chuckle. But
it just reminded me that you're torturing yourself with Raw while we're doing.
Yes, indeed. So let's
I don't know,
transition
like,
into NXT because I do have to attend to the review shortly. But
I actually
NXT...
have to. We're gonna have to actually do the NXT separately because I actually have to dip. I actually have to dip. It's not Jake's fault this time. It's what?
I prefer that because then we'll see what happens this Tuesday, and then we can go ahead and comment more because I heard there might be possibly. Not a change, but maybe an addition or some type of stipulation.
Well, we're getting into way more pre-taped. I mean, there's enough to talk about in NXT. We're going to make it a separate episode.
Yes.
But I've heard that we're going into a whole time period where it's all going to be pre-taped shows. Very, very concerned about my...
No, USA is not having that at all. They said they did not pay for...
Oh, did they put the kibosh on it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see how that goes then. Now these are all going to go out on Friday, so you guys will probably see this and my preview for Emergence and our preview for Takeover on the same day. So you're just hearing us having a little bit of a business meeting live as we speak. But we will get together probably Thursday because NXT will be out of the way at that point and we'll have a fuller picture. We won't have to do what we do when we preview a main event pay-per-view where it's like, we don't know what's going to happen on SmackDown, so this could all be wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Sadly.
More comprehensive takeover preview. I think it's going to be fun because I think you and I have some differing opinions on some things, and that always makes for good listening.
Yeah,
but,
especially with NXT. I know that for sure.
Well, there's more to sink your teeth into in NXT, even when it hangs off and it's not so great. But SummerSlam should be good. It's in a big stadium. There'll be a lot of flashy lights and explosions to keep us entertained. Tell them where to find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Countdown Ended and over on the Joe Cronin Show on YouTube.
And you guys know where to find me. That was sorry for that brain fart there. You guys know where to find me, or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. He's been Jake. We are.
Actually, we can't leave just yet. We've got a breaking announcement.
Oh no.
We have one more match.
Oh no.
It is Eva Marie versus Alexa Bliss. They're going to go one-on-one on SummerSlam. It was just announced. WWE has announced a new match that will take place this Saturday. So it was just announced on Raw. Maybe I didn't hear it during the interview section, but I saw Doudrop come over and look at Lily and pick her up, and I didn't hear what was said, but yeah. So
okay, prediction right now: this match doesn't have an ending because there's a run-in by Lily.
Yeah, I think there's going to be something with the doll here. So
I think we're going to get a real-life Lily. at
Yeah,
SummerSlam.
and it'll lead to Lily and Alexa Bliss versus Doudrop and Eva Marie.
At the next pay-per-view. Well,
Yeah.
that was really fun, and this is the added bonus of Jake actually watching Raw while we're previewing the pay-per-view. So getting back to where I was, you guys know where to find me, or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz, he's been Jake, we've been your, in this case, WWE Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, me, Super Sexy Jake DeMarco, we are tagging out. Bye, guys.